Hi, and welcome to Dave's Beatles channel. Today's video is the 60th anniversary of the Beatles' first album, and I'm going to be doing something on the channel that I've never done before. So please, come and join me. So hello again and welcome to Dave's Beatles channel. Hope I find all you fantastic Beatles people doing really well out there, and thank you for joining me again today. Well, today is exactly 60 years to the day when a certain album by a Liverpool group called the Beatles first released their debut album Please Please Me in the UK. So here is then an original copy then. I mean, just looking at the sleeve, it looks so fresh and exciting with these four guys, about to have the world at their feet. And the actual picture was taken at 20 Manchester Square, of course, in London, just off of Oxford Street. But sadly, it's long gone, and apparently Paul McCartney actually owns the balcony that the guys are actually on as well. So initially then, when the album was first released, the only version you could have got was actually the mono mix on a very special black and gold Parlophone label. And I'm going to show you guys that this very minute. So there's my copy of the black and gold mono. It's in absolutely lovely condition. Labels as well. And there's side 2. Absolutely plays really, really nice. And of course then it was actually released in stereo a full month later on the 26th of April 1963. And of course then there was only 1,000 copies of the black and gold stereo, making this an incredibly hard album to find these days. And of course then it was actually changed later on. The Parlophone label was actually changed to the black and yellow, more common design to the late 60s. So what is amazing actually as well is that George Martin was actually going to record the Fabs at the Cavern and make a live album, and he even travelled to Liverpool to see if there was a possibility, but for whatever reason he just decided against it, and they obviously recorded the album virtually live at Abbey Road anyway, under a more controlled studio environment. And another interesting fact is that Off the Beatle track actually was going to be the original title of the album before Please Please Me. But obviously it wasn't to be, and George Martin actually used the title himself on a later album he released. So 10 of the 14 tracks then were recorded at Abbey Road on the 11th of February, with the other 4 songs being the first 2 Beatles singles which were added to the running list. So today then, I'm going to be doing something very, very different on the channel that I've never actually done. And I'm going to be ranking all 14 tracks of the Please Please Me album with my choices of least favourite to my absolutely favourite track on the album. Okay then, so now it's time then, and wait no more, it's Dave's Beatles Please Please Me album track ranking. So come and join me. Well, one of these tracks has got to be in last position, and in 14th place then it's the Arthur Alexander cover Anna, Go to Him, which took actually 3 takes to record on the 11th of February 1963. And it was actually, this song was one of their live favourites from around this time. It's got a really fantastic John Lennon vocal with a good all-round performance from the guys. So in 13th place then is the Goffin and King song Chains, with a lead vocal by George Harrison and some fabulous harmonica playing then of course by John. Once again, it's a really great performance of this song, and it was actually part of the guys' live act for a very, very short period of time before actually being dropped. So next up then, in 12th position, is the Lennon-McCartney song P.S. I Love You, being recorded on the 11th of September 1962 with Andy White on drums and of course Ringo on maracas. It's not a bad song by any means, and it's got really quite a nice percussive rhythm ticking all the way through it. It's got some really good McCartney vocals and some good John backup vocals with Paul as well. So next up then, in 11th place, is another Lennon-McCartney original, Do You Want to Know a Secret, with George Harrison taking the lead vocal again, recorded on the 11th of February as well, and probably not George's strongest vocal actually. I mean, the backing vocals as well and the drumstick clicks were recorded together and overdubbed onto take 6. Just kind of plods along this song really. So in 10th place, it's a cover of A Taste of Honey, featuring Paul McCartney on lead vocals, and apparently though this was one of his favourite songs around this particular time. It's a completely live performance from the 11th of February session, and I actually always find though that the brushes from Ringo is a little bit distracting in the track. But it's a good performance though for all round from the guys. So next up then, in 9th position then, is Misery, another Lennon-McCartney original. And originally it was actually written for Helen Shapiro before they gave it to Kenny Lynch. But obviously they liked it enough to record their own version. Excellent live performance and a fabulous piano overdub by George Martin, which was done on the 20th of February. This is obviously a true Lennon-McCartney attempt at an early ballad. Great stuff. So we're at the halfway point now virtually guys, and in 8th position, an absolutely rip-roaring cover version of the song Boys, with a fabulous live vocal by Ringo while playing the drums, and certainly not an easy thing to do by any means. And this song is actually testament to how musically tight the Beatles were at this particular time, and it was recorded in just one take, and won a great Harrison lead guitar break as well. Sensational. So at this halfway point then, it's time for some of those old shout-outs. And don't forget, Beatle people, if you'd like a shout-out on the channel, just make a comment on one of my videos and you'll be getting a shout-out in a future episode. It's that simple. So anyway, it's a great big Beatle Dave hello to Trevor Dixon, Mark Foster, ZZ24AS, Martin Robinson, how you doing Martin? Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, how you doing Sarah? Sabina He, Pete JP1 and Alan O'Connor. So that's a great big hi to you guys, and thank you so much for your continued support with the comments on the channel. So in 7th place then, it's the second Shirelles cover on the Please Please Me album. It is of course Baby It's You, and it's the penultimate song that was recorded on the 11th of February that day. And considering John was suffering from a really terrible cold, he puts in an absolutely fabulous lead vocal performance and an equally great backing from Paul and George. Great cover. So next on the list then, and in 6th position, is the autobiographical song by John Lennon, There's a Place. And you've really got to love their early trademark harmonica sound, which was an overdub by John. But it's just such a great original song anyway, and I just love it. So on to the top 5, and we're getting closer to that top spot. And have you guys worked out what you think my favourite would be? Do you think so? Maybe. Anyway, the song in the 5th position is another favourite of mine. It's a really great B-side, and it is of course Ask Me Why. The guys put in a really fabulous performance here, which was recorded in late 1962, but regardless, the song fits in really well with the Please Please Me album, and I just love the track. So on to 4th position then, and it's the Beatles' first single release, has to be of course Love Me Do. Originally a more slower bluesy type song, they speeded it up and put some great harmonica phrases in by John. They recorded it initially with Ringo on drums of course, but this album version features Andy White and it just flows a little bit better for me, this particular version. But it's still a great debut single by the Fabs. So the top 3 then, and this was extremely difficult to decide with these 3 final songs, but this position actually goes to another Lennon-McCartney original, and it's I Saw Her Standing There. What an absolutely great rocking track, starting with Paul's fantastic counting. What a wonderful vocal from McCartney. Great harmony vocals from John, and a fabulous solo from George, not forgetting those wonderful drums by Ringo. I mean, what's there not to like? So So even tougher here was the last two tracks, and I'm sure some of you guys will probably disagree with my choice, but the runner-up has to go to Twist and Shout for me. But it is just a terrific performance from the Beatles and John. I mean, you can tell they're just really rocking, but however, John's voice here was just sounding incredibly raw, but he actually puts in a rip-roaring vocal. I mean, they did go for a second take, but apparently John's voice was absolutely shot to pieces. But John himself was actually very critical of this performance, and actually he didn't like it. But you know, it's just classic Lennon. So before revealing what my number one choice is on the Please Please Me album, here's a quick recap of places 14 to 2. So back in 14th place then is the Arthur Alexander cover, Anna, Go to Him. In 13th place is the George Harrison sung Goffin and King cover, Chains. Next we have the B-side of Love Me Do, the Lennon-McCartney song P.S. I Love You at number 12. With another original song performed by George, Do You Want to Know a Secret at number 11. At number 10 it's that McCartney favourite cover in the form of A Taste of Honey. Next is another Lennon-McCartney original, Misery, featuring George Martin on piano at number 9. The rip-roaring singing drummer Ringo is at number 8 singing Boys. And at number 7, it's the Williams and Bacharach cover version of Baby It's You. Sixth position takes us to John's autobiographical There's a Place, with the top 5 now being as follows. The B-side to Please Please Me, Ask Me Why is in at number 5, with the Alan White on drums version of Love Me Do at number 4. The album lead-off track I Saw Her Standing There rocks in at number 3, with the terrific final recorded cover track from that long day session on the 11th of February 1963, Twist and Shout with that raucous Lennon vocal. So now it's time to reveal my favourite Please Please Me track. So guys, we've made it, and if you're still here, I'm sure you've worked out what number 1 is. And yes, it's the title track, and I feel it's a worthy number 1 in many ways, Please Please Me. I mean, John himself was intrigued by the double use of the Please Please Me phrase, and when it was first presented to George Martin, it was much slower and it was more of a bluesy recording. But George Martin got the Fabs to speed the song up, and along with John's harmonica phrases, it made George Martin comment after the recording, "You've got your first number 1." So in the UK then, depending on what sort of charts that you actually took notice of, the Please Please Me single was either a number 1 or a number 2. But personally for me though, it's a number 1 single through and through. And this was the start, and of course the Beatles were on their way. What a tune. Well everyone, that's the end of my Please Please Me 60th anniversary ranking video. And if you've enjoyed this today and you'd like to see me do some more of these type of videos, why not just let me know in the comments below and I'll see what I can do. So as always, if you enjoy what I'm doing, why not give us a like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future videos. This is Beatle Dave signing off on the 60th anniversary of the Beatles album, Please Please Me. Thank you for watching.